All right, so everyone get ready because today we're going deep into AI agents.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, specifically a project you might have heard of called BabyAGI.
I have heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably heard the buzz about AI, getting more and more autonomous
Right.
and like systems that can almost think for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
wild.
this is where it gets like real.
This is where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's really interesting to me about AVIA-AGI is its ability to learn and evolve almost like it's writing its own code.
Oh, wow.
Based on what it learns from like previous tasks.
It's like having an AI intern that gets smarter
Exactly.
and better at his job over time.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a new version of BabyAGI that came out in September,
Oh, cool.
but we're going to cover both the original and the latest updates.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
important to remember that BabyAGI is still like experimental, as its creator, Yohei Nakajima, points out.
Yeah.
It's not ready to, take over the world or anything just yet,
Right.
but the potential is huge.
Yeah, the potential is definitely huge.
Yeah.
So let's break down what makes BabyAGI like tick.
Okay.
So at its core, we have this concept called functions, which I think sounds a bit,
It does sound a little sci-fi.
yeah, like out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
So think of functions as like BabyAGI's toolbox.
Okay. Got it.
It's a huge database of actions and processes that it can use to carry out tasks.
All right.
So it's not just like a bunch of random tools thrown together, right?
Right.
How does BabyAGI actually keep track of all these functions
Yeah, that's a good question.
and use them effectively?
So that's where things get like really interesting, I think.
Okay.
BabyAGI organizes these functions in a graph-like structure, almost like a mind map. So this helps it understand how different functions are connected, what their dependencies are, and even manage things like authentication secrets for accessing different systems.
So it's not just executing tasks blindly. It's actually it's mapping out the relationships between all these different actions and
understanding the bigger picture.
okay, and this is all visualized in the built-in dashboard.
Yeah, exactly. The dashboard gives you like a bird's eye view of BabyAGI's activities.
Okay.
So you can see how functions are related to each other, monitor what's happening, and even add or update functions as needed.
That's really, really cool.
It's very helpful, especially for visual learners who like to see that big picture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is starting to sound like a really well-organized and like self-sufficient AI assistant.
Yeah.
But let's get down to like the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
How does BabyAGI actually go from like a task to a result? So imagine you give BabyAGI a task like grab the latest financial news headlines and summarize the key points.
Okay.
That sounds incredibly useful.
Yeah, especially for, busy professionals.
Yeah, like myself. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how would BabyAGI even handle that?
So first, it pulls that task from its list of tasks.
All right.
Then an execution agent, which is powered by AI models, OpenAI's large language model.
Yeah.
This agent takes the context you've provided and actually performs the task.
So it's not just a passive database. It's actively using AI to...
It's going out and gathering information.
Yeah, exactly.
And processing it.
And what happens to the results?
Yes.
Does it just like forget them after the task is done?
Not at all. The results are actually stored in a vector database.
Oh, okay.
Like Chroma or Weaviate.
Okay.
And this becomes part of BabyAGI's growing knowledge base, which it can refer back to for future tasks.
So it's learning as it goes.
Yeah. It's constantly expanding its knowledge base.
Expanding its knowledge base.
Exactly.
This is already sounding way more advanced than just a simple to-do list app.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So here's where it gets even more impressive.
Why?
Based on the results of that task, like in this case, grabbing and summarizing those financial headlines,
Yeah.
BabyAGI can actually generate new tasks and reprioritize its to-do list.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just following a set path, it's
Right.
figuring out the next logical steps to get closer to that objective you've given it.
So it's not just reacting to commands, it's actually like planning and strategizing.
Right, exactly.
Wow, this is starting to sound like a truly, truly autonomous agent.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's delve deeper into how BabyAGI really breaks down a complex task like that.
Okay.
How would it even know how to grab financial headlines and summarize them?
Yeah, so it would most likely break that task down into smaller, more manageable steps. So it might need to use functions for like searching specific websites, extracting relevant information from articles, and then using AI to summarize those findings into like concise bullet points.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what happens if Baby AGI doesn't have a pre-existing function
Right.
for one of those smaller tasks?
Yeah.
Let's say it's never had to summarize financial news before.
Right.
Does it just give up?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
This is where the self-building part comes in.
Oh, okay.
If BabyAGI encounters a subtask that it doesn't know how to do, it actually tries to generate new code to handle it.
No way, it writes its own code.
It's like an AI MacGyver.
That's incredible. Like it figures out solutions on the fly.
It does.
Oh, this is where my mind is starting to get
Yeah, I
blown.
know. It's pretty amazing.
It's actually writing its own code to solve new problems.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a remarkable display of like its adaptability and its ability to learn and grow. Yeah, and the self-building aspect is something we should definitely explore further.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's unpack how Baby AGI decides when to use like existing functions and when to create new ones.
Okay.
Like how does it make that decision?
So there's this function called process user input that acts as like the decision maker.
Okay.
It analyzes your request and determines if BabyAGI has the tools to handle it or if it needs to create something new.
So if it needs new functions, it gets to work writing code.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
BabyAGI is really good at like breaking down complex tasks into reusable components.
Okay.
So for example, imagine you give it a description like a social media manager for a tech startup.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Go on.
So BabyAGI would try to figure out like what tasks a social media manager might need to do, like scheduling posts, analyzing engagement, responding to comments,
Right.
and then it would build the functions necessary to handle each of those tasks.
Oh, wow.
So it's like you provide a job description, and then BabyAGI builds its own skill set.
This is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
It's like watching an AI apprentice learn and grow
Yeah.
on the job. So I'm
Oh,
guessing
yeah.
I'm guessing it doesn't start completely from scratch every single time, right?
No, you're right.
Okay.
BabyAGI comes preloaded with some helpful function packs.
Okay.
So there are default functions for like basic management tasks
Okay.
and AI functions that can do things like generate descriptions, create data embeddings, and even find similar functions based on your requests.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So those function packs sound like a great starting point.
definitely.
So with all of these capabilities,
Yeah.
what are some like real world scenarios where Baby AGI could be like a game changer?
Yeah, so the potential applications are vast.
Okay.
Think about automating complex workflows that currently require a lot of manual effort.
Oh, that sounds like a dream come true.
I know, right?
For anyone who's like drowning in tedious tasks.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else?
BabyAGI could even be used to build incredibly personalized AI assistants that can anticipate your needs and proactively solve problems.
Okay, so like an AI assistant that not only manages your schedule but also helps you like strategize for upcoming meetings or like draft important emails.
Exactly.
Now that's something I could definitely get on board with.
I know, right?
Yeah, I could see how this could be a game changer for businesses of all sizes.
Absolutely. And think about generating code for very specific, like niche tasks.
Oh,
So instead of spending hours or days trying to figure out the right code, BabyAGI could potentially create it for you, freeing up valuable time and resources.
wow.
Yeah.
And the fact that Baby AGI is open source means that anyone can use it and
Right.
adapt it to their own needs.
It's very adaptable.
So the possibilities seem
Endless.
truly endless.
Yeah, what's really fascinating is that even though BabyAGI is still in its early stages of development, it offers like a glimpse into a future where AI systems become increasingly autonomous and capable of tackling like incredibly complex problem solving. It's really remarkable.
Oh, it's both exciting and a bit daunting, right?
It is.
It's like we're witnessing like the birth of a new technological era.
Definitely.
But it's important to remember that Baby AGI is still experimental.
Right.
It's not quite ready to take over the world just yet.
Not just yet.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to an important point. The original Baby AGI,
Okay.
the one from March 2023.
Right.
This version had a really interesting focus on like objective-driven task management.
Okay.
So like what was unique about this earlier iteration?
So it was all about breaking down goals into smaller, manageable steps.
Okay.
Almost like a supercharged to-do list.
Okay, I can see how that would be super helpful
Yeah.
for like organizing complex projects.
Yeah, in this original version, it relied on this continuous loop.
Okay.
So it would identify a task, use AI to try and complete it based on the available information. Right. Store the results for future use, and then generate new tasks based on what it learned.
And it could even reprioritize those tasks like on the fly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible how it used AI, like specifically models like OpenAI's GPT,
Yeah.
to not just like execute tasks,
Right.
but to actually figure out what tasks to do next.
Wow.
It was really interesting to see it kind of think and strategize and adapt in real time.
No wonder that version sparked so much interest and discussion. It seems like it laid the groundwork for the even more advanced self-building capabilities we see today.
It definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah. One example from that original BabyAGI
Yeah.
that always like stuck with me
Okay.
was its ability to pull information from like external sources like websites and databases.
Yeah.
Remember how it could grab today's score from ESPN?
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It seemed almost magical at the time.
It did. It really highlighted BabyAGI's potential to like interact with the real world,
Yeah.
not just operate within like a closed system.
Exactly. And imagine the possibilities if it could access and process information from all sorts of websites, databases, APIs.
It would be like giving it a direct line to.
Well, the knowledge and data out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The potential for research and analysis and decision making is like mind-boggling.
It is.
Right.
However, it is important to acknowledge that the original BabyAGI
Okay.
also had some limitations, especially when it came to running tasks continuously.
Okay. What were some of the challenges that it faced?
Well, one of the biggest concerns was a potential for like high API usage,
Okay.
which could lead to, significant costs.
That makes sense. Yeah, if it's constantly like accessing external data sources,
Right.
the cost could add pretty quickly.
Exactly. And of course, there was always the risk of like unintended consequences.
Yeah.
If you give BabyAGI a task without clear instructions or boundaries,
Yeah.
who knows what kind of rabbit holes it might go down.
Right. It's like the old saying, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
But imagine harnessing that power responsibly.
Right.
Think about the potential for automating tasks,
Right.
generating creative content,
Yeah, right.
even helping us understand like complex data sets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about finding that balance
Yeah.
between pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI while ensuring that we're developing these systems in a safe and, ultimately beneficial way.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So now that brings us to the new BabyAGI.
Okay.
This version was released in September of this year.
Right.
And it seems to have like shifted its focus a bit. It's less about
It has.
that task management loop and more about building itself, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
This new BabyAGI is all about that self-building autonomous agent concept.
Right.
It's less about following instructions and more about figuring out what it needs to do to achieve a specific outcome.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot more emphasis on flexibility
Yeah.
and adaptability in this new version.
Absolutely. And one of the key changes is this new functions framework.
Okay.
So instead of just having a list of tasks,
Right.
BabyAGI now has this interconnected web of functions
Okay.
that it can use to solve problems.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker, it can even create new functions as needed.
Wait, so it's not limited to the functions that it starts with.
No.
It can literally expand its own capabilities.
That's exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But how does it know what kind of new functions to create?
So that's where AI comes in again.
Okay.
BabyAGI can use AI models to analyze tasks, understand what's needed to accomplish them, and then generate the code for those missing functions.
It's like it's learning to be a better programmer
It is.
all the time.
Yeah.
And that dashboard sounds super helpful for like visualizing this whole process.
Yeah, the dashboard is a great way to see how everything's connected.
Okay.
You can monitor functions, see how they relate to each other, manage dependencies,
Right.
and even handle things like authentication keys.
So it's like a control center for BabyAGI.
It is, yeah.
And remember how the original BabyAGI
Yeah.
had those limitations about like continuously running tasks?
Right.
Well, this new version seems to address some of those challenges, right?
It does.
Okay.
Because this new BabyAGI is more focused on building itself up
Right.
rather than continuously executing external tasks.
Okay.
It can potentially avoid some of those issues with high API usage and unintended consequences.
Oh, okay.
So it's more about giving it a goal and letting it figure out the best way to get there,
Right.
rather than micromanaging every step.
That's a really interesting shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's almost like giving it more autonomy and trusting it to make smart decisions.
Exactly. And that's a key concept in the evolution of AI.
Yeah.
As these systems become more sophisticated,
Right.
we need to find ways to balance like control with autonomy, allowing them to learn and adapt while still ensuring that they operate within like safe and ethical boundaries.
It's like we're entering a new era of collaboration between humans and AI.
Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
let's take a step back
All right.
and compare these two versions of BabyAGI.
Okay.
What are some of the things they have in common?
Well, both versions rely heavily on AI models
Okay.
to drive their decision making.
Right.
They both use vector databases to store and retrieve information.
Okay.
And they both embrace that core concept of breaking down complex goals into smaller, more manageable tasks.
Okay. And both versions are pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI,
Definitely.
giving us a glimpse into a future
Yeah.
where these systems could like automate tasks,
Yeah.
solve complex problems,
Right.
and even enhance our own creativity.
Exactly. And even though they're experimental,
Yeah.
know, they really highlight the incredible potential of AI to
Yeah.
change the way we work, live, and interact with the world around us.
It's truly an exciting time to be following the developments in AI.
It is.
But with all this talk about BabyAGI's like amazing abilities,
Yeah.
are there any drawbacks or limitations that we should be aware of?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that while BabyAGI can generate new functions,
Yeah.
the quality of that code isn't always like perfect.
Okay.
It might need some human intervention to like clean things up
Right.
or optimize the code for efficiency.
So it's not quite ready to replace human programmers just yet.
Not just yet, but it could be a powerful tool for automating certain coding tasks,
Right.
especially those repetitive or tedious ones
Yeah.
that no one really enjoys doing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So while BabyAGI is incredibly promising,
Yeah.
it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
There are still limitations
Yes.
and areas where human expertise is essential.
Absolutely. And it's important to recognize that AI development is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
We're constantly learning and evolving
Yeah.
alongside these technologies.
Well said.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how we use it
Exactly.
and the impact that it has on society as a whole.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We need to approach AI development with a sense of responsibility
Yeah.
and ensure that it's being used to benefit humanity and not harm it.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
We've explored the fascinating world of BabyAGI
Yeah.
from its original like task-oriented version
Right.
to the new self-building autonomous agent. And it's clear that this project is like pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI
It is.
and giving us a glimpse into a future where these systems could play an even greater role in our lives.
Definitely.
But before we get, too carried away with the possibilities,
yeah.
it's crucial to remember that BabyAGI is still in its early stages of development.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
We need to approach AI development with a healthy dose of both enthusiasm and caution.
Yeah.
Always striving to understand the implications of what we're creating and ensuring that it's being used for good.
I couldn't agree more. Now, for all you listeners out there
Yeah.
who are eager to learn more about BabyAGI
Yeah.
and maybe even experiment with it yourselves, we've got some good news.
We do.
Remember, BabyAGI is an open source project.
Yeah.
So you can access the code, the documentation,
Yeah.
and even contribute to its development.
It's a great opportunity to get hands-on
Yeah.
with this cutting-edge technology.
Yeah. And who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next breakthrough application for Baby AGI.
Exactly.
The future of AI is in our hands.
It is.
So let's make sure we build it responsibly.
Yes.
And with the best interests of humanity in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great note to end on.
It is.
But hey, before we let you go, we
Okay.
want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay, I'm listening.
A question that's been like swirling in my mind ever since we started digging into Baby AGI.
All right. I love a good thought-provoking question.
Okay, so if AI can start writing its own code,
Yeah.
building its own tools,
Okay.
and adapting to new challenges,
Right.
what does that really mean
Yeah.
for the future of programming
Right.
and programmers?
That is a question that goes beyond just the technical aspects of AI development.
Yeah.
It touches on the very nature of work, creativity, and human ingenuity.
Exactly. Are we talking about a future where AI takes over coding entirely? Or will it be more of like a collaborative relationship
Yeah.
with AI assisting human programmers,
Right.
making them more efficient and allowing them to focus on higher level tasks?
It's a question that sparks a lot of debate and speculation.
Right.
Some believe that AI will eventually automate a lot of coding tasks, leading to a shift in the role of programmers.
Yeah.
Others envision a future where AI and humans work together,
Yeah.
each leveraging their strengths to create even more innovative and complex software.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
We have this incredible opportunity to harness the power of AI to solve complex problems and create amazing things.
Yeah.
But we also have a responsibility
Right.
to use this technology wisely and ethically
Yeah.
to ensure that it benefits humanity as a whole.
Absolutely. It's a future full of both promise and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I, for one, am very eager to see how it unfolds.
Me too. Me too. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the ones to shape that future.
It's possible.
Yeah. So keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep learning,
Yeah.
and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And never stop asking those tough questions.
Until next time, happy diving.
Happy diving. Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing to think about how this is all changing how we think about programming.
Totally. But before we get too lost in what might happen, let's come back to the present for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about this new self-building Baby AGI, but
Mhm.
how different is it really from the original version?
That's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
While both versions have some basic things in common, there are some important differences we should talk about.
Okay, cool. So let's start with, what's the same between them?
Well, both versions use AI models a lot to make decisions,
Yeah.
and they both use vector databases to store and find information.
Right.
They also both use that idea of taking a big goal and breaking it down into smaller tasks.
So basically they have similar roots, but they've changed in different ways.
Exactly.
Okay, so then what are the biggest differences you see?
The most noticeable difference is how they handle tasks.
Okay.
The original Baby AGI was focused on that constant loop of managing tasks.
Right.
Find a task, try to do it, learn from what happens, and then make new tasks.
Right, like a little worker bee just going through its lists.
Yeah, but the new Baby AGI seems to have changed its approach, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's doing something different now.
Right. The new one is all about building itself up, getting better, and
Huh.
becoming more independent.
Yeah.
So it's less about following a set path and more about figuring out how to get to the end goal on its own.
So it's less of a worker bee and more of a strategist.
That's a great way to think about it.
And this change in focus, it seems like it led to some new things in how the new Baby AGI works.
It did.
Can you give me an example?
One big change is this new functions system.
Okay.
Instead of just a list of tasks, it now has this connected web of functions that it can use to solve problems.
Yeah.
And the really cool part is it can even create new functions as it needs them.
Right, it's constantly learning new skills and adding them to its toolkit.
Exactly. And this makes it more adaptable to new problems and surprises.
Okay.
It's not just stuck with what it knows, it can learn and grow as it goes.
It's like watching it evolve in real time,
Exactly.
which is kind of wild to think about.
It really is. And this ability to learn is what makes Baby AGI so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just a program, it's like a system that's constantly changing.
So both versions are pushing the limits of what AI can do,
They are.
but this new one seems to be taking it a step further.
I think so, with its focus on self-building and making its own decisions.
Yeah.
It's a big step forward.
Wow.
It shows us a future where these AI systems could be much more a part of our lives, helping us solve big problems and reach goals in ways we can't even imagine yet.
It's exciting, but also a little scary,
I know what you mean.
to think about what these AI systems might be able to do and how they might change things. But as we create these complex AI systems, it's so important that we do it responsibly.
I completely agree.
We need to think about the ethical side of things
Of course.
and make sure we're using these technologies to make things better for everyone.
Well said.
So before we wrap this up, let's go back to something you mentioned earlier about how BabyAGI could actually be used in the real world.
Okay. Yeah.
We talked about it automating things and being like a personal assistant.
Right.
But can you give us some specific examples of how this technology could be used in different industries or organizations?
Sure. Let's start with business. Imagine a marketing team that's struggling to keep up with all the changes in social media.
Right.
BabyAGI could be taught to watch social media trends, find good content, and even schedule posts on different platforms, which would free up the team to focus on strategy and creative stuff.
That sounds super helpful, especially for smaller companies that might not have a whole team just for social media.
Exactly. What about healthcare? Have you thought about that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, imagine a hospital using BabyAGI to make patient intake smoother.
Okay.
It could collect information from patients, set appointments, and even answer basic questions about billing or procedures.
That would free up the healthcare workers to focus on taking care of people.
Exactly.
Those are really good examples.
And that's just the start. As this tech gets better,
Yeah.
we'll see even more creative ways to use it.
It seems like BabyAGI could really change a lot of industries and organizations.
It really does have that potential.
It's really exciting to see all this happening in AI.
It is.
But as we've said, we have to be careful and think things through.
I completely agree.
We need to be aware of the possible risks and challenges
Absolutely.
and make sure we're developing these technologies ethically and responsibly.
You're right. It's not just about the excitement. It's about doing it the right way.
Exactly. Well said.
So before we let our listeners go,
Yeah.
I want to leave them with one last thought.
Okay.
We've discussed the technical stuff about BabyAGI, but I think it's just as important to think about the human side of this.
Right.
As these systems get more advanced, how will they change how we work, learn, and interact with each other?
That's a deep question. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we decide to use it and how it fits into our lives and values.
Exactly. It's a discussion we need to keep having as we explore this new world of AI.
Absolutely. It's a journey that needs both new ideas and careful thought.
I couldn't agree more. It's a path we'll create together, using the power of AI while staying true to our values and hopes for a better world.
Well said. And with that, we'll leave our listeners with that thought to chew on.
It's something to think about.
Until next time, happy diving.
It's really amazing to think about how far AI has come and where it's going.
It does feel like we're at the edge of some really big changes.
Definitely.
But with all this excitement about AI,
Yeah.
there's this question that always comes up
What's that?
about jobs.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
People are worried about AI taking over their jobs.
Right, the whole humans versus machines thing.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
makes sense, especially as AI, like BabyAGI, gets more advanced.
It's understandable that people are concerned about that.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at this from a different angle.
Right.
While AI will probably automate some tasks,
Right.
if we look back at history, we see that technology often creates new opportunities and changes jobs instead of just eliminating them.
So it's not like AI wins and humans lose. It's more complicated than that.
Exactly. Take the Industrial Revolution, for example.
Okay.
Machines changed the workforce a lot, but they also created new industries and jobs that didn't exist before.
So maybe instead of being afraid of AI,
Yeah.
we should think of it as a push to adapt and learn new skills.
I think that's a much better way to think about it.
Instead of worrying about losing our jobs,
Right.
we should focus on getting better and learning new things
Exactly.
so we can succeed in a future where AI is part of the workforce.
And BabyAGI is a good example of this.
Okay, how so?
It can do some coding tasks for us. But it's not meant to replace programmers completely. It's more like a tool to help them be more efficient and focus on the creative and problem-solving parts of their jobs.
So it's like AI and humans working together, each doing what they're best at.
Exactly. And I think we'll see this kind of teamwork more and more as AI gets better.
It's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans working together
Absolutely.
to make things better.
That's the goal.
Okay, so this future with AI,
Yeah.
it's exciting,
Yeah.
but let's be real. There are going to be some challenges as we figure out how to make it all work.
Definitely.
What are some things we need to be careful about as we move forward?
One of the most important things is making sure that AI is developed and used ethically.
Okay, that makes sense.
We need to think about how it will affect society as a whole.
We can't just jump in without thinking about the consequences.
Exactly. So what are some specific ethical things we need to consider?
Yeah. What should we be watching out for?
Well, one big issue is bias.
Okay.
AI systems learn from data, and if that data has biases from our society, the AI can make those biases even worse.
So it's like the AI is learning our bad habits.
In a way, yeah. So we need to figure out how to make AI fair and impartial.
AI should help us move forward, not keep us stuck in the past.
Exactly. What else do we need to think about?
What other ethical challenges are out there?
Another one is transparency.
Okay.
As AI gets more complex, it can be hard to understand how it makes decisions.
Right, it's like a black box.
Kind of. So we need ways to make AI more open and accountable.
So we can trust it and understand why it's doing what it's doing.
Exactly. We need to be able to see what's going on inside.
That makes a lot of sense.
One last thing I want to stress is the importance of human control.
Yeah.
AI can be really powerful, but we should never give it complete control.
Right.
Humans need to be part of the decision-making, setting limits, and making sure AI is working with our values and goals.
So we're like the captains of the ship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
AI is a powerful engine that can help us, but we need to keep our hands on the wheel.
That's a perfect analogy.
So the future of AI is full of possibilities,
It is.
but it's also a future we need to create carefully.
I agree. We need to be both innovative and thoughtful.
Well said. Well, this brings us to the end of our deep dive into BabyAGI.
It's been a great discussion.
It has. It's been fascinating to explore what this AI can do, its potential, and the challenges that come with it.
I always enjoy talking about AI and where it might take us.
To our listeners, we hope this has made you curious about AI and all the exciting things happening in this field.
It's a field that's changing quickly.
Yeah, and the future is full of possibilities and unknowns.
But one thing's for sure,
What's that?
this is just the beginning of AI.
It feels like it.
And it's a journey we'll all be taking together.
So stay curious, keep learning, and let's see where this takes us.
To the future.
Until next time, happy diving.